In this video, we're going to show you how to replace the fuel pump assembly in your Chevy Silverado. This will be located inside of the fuel tank. Let's get started. Using a 10mm socket, loosen the negative terminal on the battery. Pull the cable off of the terminal. Using a 13mm socket, remove the 3 bolts holding on the plastic cover. Remove the bolts. Tilt the cover down and then lift it up, releasing the metal tabs from the slots, and remove the cover. Using an 8mm socket, loosen the clamp for the filler neck. Pull the clamp down. Remove the hose from the filler neck. If you need to, you can put a pick behind the rubber to break up the corrosion and rust. Install the jack under the fuel tank. Be sure that it is not sitting on the straps. Using a 15mm socket, remove the bolt for the fuel tank strap. Right up behind the frame where my socket and extension is going is where that bolt will be. Go ahead and remove the 15mm bolt for the strap. Pull the strap down off of the fuel tank. We're going to lift it up and out of place and remove it. Do the same thing in the front. We're going to open this connection right here in the front of the tank. We're going to push on these 2 tabs and push up. Unlocking it. And remove it off of the charcoal box. We have one more connection up here on the top, this blue one. Same method to disconnect it. We're going to push on those 2 tabs and then push up. I'm going to use a rag when opening this connection because there will probably be fuel in this line. And there's some excess fuel that's dripping out. Just have it catching in the rag. We're going to leave that rag up there with the connection. You can see we have it disconnected. We're going to start to slowly go down on our gas tank. Using a 1/4-inch ratchet, we're going to remove the clamp for this vent hose. Get the clamp loose and pull it down. Pull the vent hose off of the filler neck. Right down here, there's going to be a zip tie holding the hoses. We're going to cut that zip tie. We're going to remove this clamp so we don't lose it when the hose pulls out. Continue slowly going down on the gas tank, double checking and looking over all of the connections, making sure you're not tugging on anything. Remove the connectors on the top of the fuel pump. There's one right here. We're going to push on the button, pull straight back. Same thing on this one. And disconnect the harness. Now we can fully pull our tank out. I found this lock on the top of the tank for this big white connector. If you have that, it'll be in that closed position. You'll just have to pull it up out of the locked position into the unlocked position before you can push on this tab and remove the connector. Using an air gun, we're going to blow off all of the debris on top of the fuel pump. This will help get no debris in the tank when we remove the pump. We're going to open the connections on the top of the fuel pump. We're going to pull back on these two tabs and push down. And that blue lock will pop open. Then we're able to remove. Do the same thing on this green connector. We have one more in the back right here. We're going to lift up on the two tabs in the side and pull this green lock out. And then on the back of this, we're going to push on this white button and then pull back and remove the line from the pump. We're going to stick that lock back in so we don't lose it. We're going to use a brass punch as to not make sparks, and we're going to remove the fuel pump ring. We're going to get on the corner of this, and we're going to give it some taps with our hammer. Pop that fuel tank ring open. We're going to remove that from the top. Remove the fuel pump, remove the old O-ring. I'm going to use a clean rag and wipe where the O-ring is going to seat, getting out any of the dirt or rust. We have a bit in there. Install the new O-ring. Install the fuel pump assembly down into the tank. Push the fuel pump down. Install the fuel pump tank ring with this ridge on the top side. Use that brass punch in the opposite direction, closing this locking ring. Make sure the ring is fully seated. These tabs will press up against the stop on the ring. Install the connections to the fuel pump. Close that green locking tab. Same thing on this. Be sure it's fully seated. This travels under. Get all of the connections on and close the tabs. Give them all a pull, make sure they're locked on. We're going to go slightly up on our gas tank. We're going to attach our two connectors once we have space. Going to go up a bit more. Watch your arm in the drive shaft. Get this back connector on. Be sure it's fully seated. Give it a push once you put it on. Make sure it's locked on. We're gonna go up a little bit more. There it is. Now we'll get this back white clip on. Push it into place. Heard a solid click. We'll give it a push. Make sure it's locked in. Make sure that locking tab is closed on the top. Continue going up on the tank. Before our filler neck hits that frame, we're gonna pull it to the inboard side so we can put it up and over where it's supposed to be. I'm gonna stick a clean rag in the end of the filler neck so we don't get any rust or dirt in it when we put it up there. Bend it to the inside, and now it'll go up nicely. Go all the way up on the tank. We're gonna get these two connections on the end started. Get that pushed on, close that tab, we'll give it a pull. Make sure it's locked on. Same thing on the charcoal box. Install the fuel tank straps up and into place. Push them around the tank. Do the same thing in the front. We'll go to the opposite side and get these bolted in. Get the fuel tank strap bolt started by hand. Did this in the front and back. Snug the bolts down. With the fuel tank straps installed, we can lower the jack out from under our fuel tank and remove it out from under the car. Install the fuel filler neck. Make sure it's fully seated. Ours is all the way down here at the end. We're going to install the clamp onto the vent hose and install the vent hose up onto the filler neck, making sure it's fully seated. I'm going to pull both of our clamps up and we'll snug them down. Snug the clamp down for the vent. Torque the fuel tank strap bolts to 30 foot-pounds. Do the same thing in the front. Install the plastic cover for the tank. Get all of the metal tabs on this back side installed into the cover. Get the 3 bolts started. Snug down the bolts. Torque the bolts to 13 foot-pounds. Install the negative battery cable. Snug the terminal down. Give it a wiggle, make sure it doesn't move, and you're good to go.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.